Very excited to bring back on a good friend of the show, former Chiefs wide receiver, and also a former Oregon Duck. Had a successful college football season. Excited to have him on the show. Welcoming back JJ Birden here on the Chiefs Zone podcast. JJ, how are you, sir? Thanks for coming back. How have you been?
I'm doing fantastic, and thanks for having me back.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a couple of years. It's funny. Before we started, you and I, we were chatting, and I was because you mentioned what time zone you're in. You're in Mountain Time Zone, and for whatever reason, I was thinking you were further because you went to Oregon, and I thought for sure you lived in the Oregon area, and I forgot you told me a long time ago you're in Phoenix. I always get thrown off by the time zone in Phoenix. Always.
Yeah, we're the very few states who does not change the times, for daylight saving times, but it just automatically half of the year we're Mountain Time, half of the year we're Pacific Time.
Oh man, that would throw me. I listen. I always get confused because whenever I schedule a guest and they're not in the same time zone as me, if they're an hour or 2 hours behind, I'm always thinking 2 hours ahead. Yeah. So that always throws me off too. So no, it's always interesting though. But hey, there's a lot to get into with you, and I really want to get into the Chiefs and all this stuff. But of course, we had the national championship game that took place last night. I know you're big on college football. I know Oregon had a really good season, came so close. They played Indiana, and Indiana ended up winning, having a perfect season. I'm curious what your thoughts were on what we saw last night.
Well, first, I mean, once Oregon was out of the mix, my focus was Indiana. I've really marveled and admire that team, their organization, their program, because Indiana is for years, they're known for basketball, not football, but to watch the evolution of that team. And then the underdog feel, which I can relate to, and from the coach to the quarterback, it was really nice to see, them pull off something that nobody thought they could do, have that perfect season like they have.
I think this one had a lot of interest from Chiefs fans because on the Indiana side, you have Fernando, who's going to end up probably going to the Raiders. And on the other side of it, there's Ruben Bain Jr., who is a beast. I mean, that guy looks like a truck who's just about to run over anyone in his way. And Kirk Herbstreit mentioned on the broadcast how the offensive tackles were struggling last night because of him. Man, I'm telling you, if he's available at 9 when the Chiefs are picking, I don't know how you pass on that guy. Yeah, there might be other needs the Chiefs are going to probably address, but they do need some help on that defensive line. I don't know how much thought you've given the draft and the Chiefs picking at number 9. It's the earliest in the Patrick Mahomes era, that's for sure. What are your thoughts on what the Chiefs might do at number 9?
Yeah, my first thought is to fulfill an immediate need, and I'm thinking tackle, running back, and it's kind of like who's the best available player. That's where what you just said comes into play is when you get to 9, you literally have to draft the best athlete available. And sometimes that might not be a position you really need, but the guy is too good to pass up. So it's like, who's going to be available? And my perfect, choice, I want to tackle. I want them to really work on that offensive line. I think they have to invest in protecting Patrick Mahomes because if you can protect a great quarterback, the team's always going to do well. So that's what I would like to see. But there's that running back from I think it's Notre Dame that looks pretty good too.
Your teammate Tim Grunhard, he has been advocating for the Chiefs to get him.
Yeah, I think that I could see that happening if we can get a top running back that can really command the attention and be a dominant player like he may be. Hey, you got to grab him. You got to take them if they're available.
Well, let me ask this because I think there is this preconceived notion that because of Clyde Edwards-Helaire and how things did not work out when he was in Kansas City, that the Chiefs might be little gun shy of maybe going for a running back. Do you think they might be hesitant about picking Jeremiah Love at 9, or do you think if he's there, hey, no question about it, you get him?
I think if he's there, you get him. He's a different type of back than Clyde was, built different, size, abilities, and so forth. But again, I think as we get closer to the draft, because I'm curious to know who are the top tackles. I'm going to keep saying, who's the top tackles? And whoever the top tackle is he more valuable than picking up a guy like Jeremiah who's available? So it's just, we'll see as we get closer, right?
Obviously, Oregon had a really good season. I'm curious what you thought of their season up to when they got eliminated against Indiana?
Yeah, they had a great season. I was highly disappointed in their performance in the playoffs because last year it's kind of what we did. We had a great season, had a great record. We were ranked high, but then when it mattered, we didn't just not show up. We got blown out, and Indiana blew them out again. So I think the positive side is that every year that Dan has been there, they're just getting closer and closer to the championship. So hopefully next year is the year.
I think you told me a couple of years ago, wasn't there a concern that he might leave Oregon for a much bigger opportunity? And I think he had mentioned something to you about how he went to William Jewell, and going to a bigger place is not really all that glamorous for him. Is that the same coach there at Oregon?
Yeah, that's the same coach. And
Okay.
and I like that aspect because as he shared with me, hey, I went to William Jewell. That's not my dream coaching job. Coaching Oregon, this is my dream coaching job. And so personally, I don't see Dan leaving for a while, but I think, and the fans hate when I say this, but he's going to go to the NFL at some point. Now, whether that's 5 years or 10 years, I believe he will, but I hope he just stays there for a while. And let's get some championships in there.
What'd you think of Patrick Mahomes putting on that Oregon jersey?
I liked it. I like it because, Oregon has a soft spot with me, and so does Kansas City. So to see Patrick Mahomes as a Kansas City Chiefs quarterback wearing my alma mater jersey, I like that.
They lost a bet to a rookie of all people. Like, come on, man. How does a rookie just make the MVP of a 3-time Super Bowl MVP do that? I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, obviously this was not a good season. It was a disappointing season with the offense. A lot of talk on the coaches. Now, Matt Nagy, his contract expired. He didn't get the Tennessee Titans job. Presumably, the Chiefs have hired Eric Bieniemy. They also hired Chad O'Shea, who got his NFL start in Kansas City as a volunteer coach. He won 3 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots as a wide receivers coach, made his way back to Kansas City, it seems like. And I'll say this, JJ, because obviously we talk about the quarterback. We talk about the head coach. We also talk about the coordinators as well. I've done this podcast since 2007. Over those years, I've never seen people give so much attention to the wide receivers coach or any positional coach in Kansas City for that matter. And I know Embry did a press conference a couple of years ago that drove a lot of people nuts. And people wondered what the drops, that happening at the same time, they changed offensive coordinators and receivers coach, if maybe that had an impact. I'm wondering with Bieniemy and O'Shea coming in, how much of a difference do you expect from the offense and specifically the wide receivers?
One, I think this is a case where change is good. I mean, we've had a great run, 10 years in a row. We're just, we were the team. And mentally, that's hard to do. So this season really didn't surprise me because it's hard to be up every single game and every single opponent is bringing their best. And at some point, I figured this would happen. But the beauty of it is we still got Patrick Mahomes. He'll come back 100%. But I think some changes is good. Having a fresh face in there, a new voice in there, a new philosophy, I think is good for the team. So I like that they made the wide receiver coach change. Now, I'm one that I never blame the coaches because I know the coaches do their job. They game plan, they put in the schemes, they coach the receivers, but coaches coach, players play. And the fault of the wide receivers is really on them. But somebody has to be blamed. It looks like it's a wide receiver coach, but bringing a new voice, I think, is good. And I'm excited about EB being back there because as a football fan, I know that we don't know what happens on the inside. We can kind of guess, but we really don't know. And I'm thinking that if they're bringing EB back, Eric Bieniemy back, that means that guy was doing some things that we don't know about that was positively impacting the team. And that's why they're bringing him back. So I think it's a good move.
I want to get to your comment about EB, but I also wanted to touch on something you mentioned with the coaches, coaches coaching, players playing. I get all of that. Here's my one thing. If it was just one wide receiver dropping passes consistently, I'd be like, okay, that's on the player. I remember Justin Ross. Everyone thought that was a big steal for Kansas City. He barely played. And in 2023, when he got involved, even he was dropping passes, like the entire wide receiver room. I'm sure, as you said, I'm sure coaches have addressed the drops over these last 3 years, but perhaps maybe not well enough. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
My thoughts are this: when you make it to the NFL, catching the ball, that's not a concern. That should never be at that level. Catching the ball is second nature. Now, why a receiver at the NFL level is dropping the ball, I can't put that on the coaches because, you know, a coach can coach a receiver so much when it comes to catching the ball. They already know how to do it. So I'm going to put the blame more on the personnel department who picks the players, who brings these players in, because if they don't see some flaws in their games and maybe seen habits like this in the past, that's on them. So I'm not quick to say that responsibility is on the wide receiver coach, because every team I played for, when I got to those teams, the wide receiver coaches were teaching us all these other things about planning it. It was never, here's how you catch the ball. They should already know how to do that.
As far as Eric Bieniemy, there have been a lot of mixed reactions to this, which is a little bit of a surprise to me, because when he was the offensive coordinator, the Chiefs were top 6 in total points scored and total offense. And that 2022 season, the first year without Tyreek Hill, Mahomes had the record for total yards, passing and rushing yards, 5,600, won league MVP almost unanimously, and went on to win Super Bowl MVP. But I think there's also this reaction that, hey, it doesn't really matter who the offensive coordinator is, because at the end of the day, Andy always calls the plays. I don't know if you've ever been on a college or an NFL team where the offensive coordinator isn't the play caller. Can you maybe pull back the curtain a little bit and explain how a non-play calling offensive coordinator, what their duties are? Because I think there's always questions among Chiefs fans as to what is Eric Bieniemy or Matt Nagy's responsibility under Andy Reid.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because it's kind of a unique situation. I've been on both sides. I remember when I was in Cleveland, Marty was calling the plays. We had an offensive coordinator, but Marty was calling the plays, and then I've seen it where he didn't. But here in this case, even though Andy takes the lead in the decision-making and the play calling, an offensive coordinator still does so much from a strategy standpoint, from a game time preparation all week, preparing, analyzing, making sure they have the right plays against the right coverage, and really putting the game plan together with Andy Reid so they're on the same page. And that's one of the things that Andy said about Eric Bieniemy that I never forgot. He said something about how one thing you guys don't know about is Eric is one of the best guys I've been around at analyzing defenses and helping me choose the right offensive plays and right offensive schemes we're going to use to attack a defense. And I never forgot that. And that kind of goes back to the point I was saying earlier, that we don't know what Eric does behind the scenes, but he's apparently doing something right that benefits that offense.
And I think the other part of it too is accountability. I know Mahomes mentioned that word. I know Chiefs fans have brought that word up a lot for a couple of years now, because they feel like, and I know we've already gone back and forth on this with the weaknesses, the issues, and how that's being addressed. But a lot of people feel like Eric Bieniemy brings that accountability back. I know I don't want to call it a criticism. I know LaShawn McCoy has been vocal and heavily against him in the past, but everyone else has always had good things to say about him. But I guess he yells more than the average coach now in the NFL these days. I'm curious what your thoughts are when people bring up how Bieniemy is able to hold guys more accountable.
Yeah, he is. And he's walk the walk and he's talk the talk. He's a former player. He understands what it's like. But players do need to be held accountable to some extent. And I know we're in this new age where you can't be as hard on the players and they don't want coaches yelling at them. And, the coaches who can find the balance and be able to hold players accountable, but then also praise them too, those I think are the coaches who have the right combination. And it sounds like Eric will get on players. He'll call you out. But at the same time, he'll praise you, he'll encourage you. So I think he has a nice balance. But Chiefs, we need that. We really do, because, when you've been as successful as Chiefs have, that success can go to your head. It's easy to become complacent and become lazy in your day-to-day practices and performances and so forth. And I think Eric is going to give them that wake-up call, that resurgence that they need mentally to get us back on track.
Yeah, that's my thing too. It's like, yeah, I know there was that rumor about Mahomes and Bieniemy not getting along, and there was a couple of games where I guess Mahomes and Bieniemy were going back and forth. Andy had to get between them. Kelce, lightly shoved Bieniemy at one point, and that was a big deal during a game. And 20 seconds later, they hug it out. Like, okay, I mean, they're around each other a lot. Sometimes, people clash. I get it. I just think at the end of the day, it's like you not only won a lot, but the offense was very successful, and there have been nothing but complaints about the offense the last 3 years. So I like the move. So I'm kind of surprised there are mixed reactions from Chiefs fans on this.
I know it's really interesting because I was thinking this morning, it's like, I remember when Eric was there towards the end, a lot of the Chiefs fans were kind of like, on him. Oh, we don't need him. They should let him go. And then he leaves. And then I saw over the last year that everybody's like, they need to bring EB back. And then they bring him back. And then some are happy and some aren't happy. It's just like, okay, make up your mind, fans.
Yeah, I'll say this, like Spags and EB, I'd love it if they wore the red and gold for the entire run as coaches. But as a fan of football, I always wanted EB to get a head coaching job. I thought it was really weird he never got that. Do you have a theory as to why he never got a head coaching job?
I don't. And that's kind of one of those things. Again, here you've got a player who's clearly qualified, but there's something behind the scenes that's holding him back. And I don't know if it's his history. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but he clearly is qualified to be a head coach. And maybe he comes back here and he helps resurrect the offense, and he gets a chance to finally maybe be a head coach in a few years.
My theory was because at the time he was surrounded by Mahomes, Kelce, Reed, and also for a majority of the time, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, a lot of great players here, that I guess teams were maybe hesitant to give him a job. I'll say this. If the Chiefs offense reverts back to what it once was, I think that builds his case even more to actually get a head coaching offer this time. Yeah, I mean, I hope it doesn't happen because I'd love him to stay longer, but I can see that happening.
Yeah, I agree. And what an opportunity he has to kind of silence the doubters, as he's now back with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Obviously, Patrick Mahomes coming back from that knee injury. Not that there's ever a good time for an injury, but I guess kind of like Bo Nix right now, I guess there might be some concern as to what his availability will be like in the offseason and next season as well. Whereas for Patrick Mahomes, because of the length of a torn ACL recovery, it's expected to be 9 months. So it's going to be right around week 1. They're going to need a quarterback for OTAs and for training camp. We don't know what Mahomes' availability will be like. If there's that slim chance he happens to be ahead of schedule, he might be there, but I don't think the Chiefs are going to even allow that because why risk it? What are your thoughts as to whether or not he could play for that week 1 game, whichever that exact date will be, which we'll find out in a few months? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a good question because you're talking to someone who tore both his ACL ligaments, year 1 and year 9. I recovered. The first one took me about 14 months. The second one took me 10 months. So my thought is, with today's technology and rehab and just how they recover from these surgeries, I personally think he's going to be ready day 1. I really do, because I know how he's going to attack rehab. I went through it myself. Now, obviously, they still have to prepare for the fact that what if he's not ready? So they got to pick up that solid backup. Maybe they already have him. They put a couple other guys on the rosters, but they got to have someone ready. But I'm telling you, and some of the Chiefs fans got on me. I said, I'm telling you, he's going to be ready. I've torn my ACL. He'll be ready.
Do you have a prediction as to what Travis Kelce might do?
Yeah, my prediction, I don't know Kelce personally. I've met him once, but he's coming back. And I'm going to tell you why I think he's coming back, because I don't think he wants to end his career on this note where they sucked this year and Mahomes' buddy gets hurt. I don't think he's going to walk away. I see him playing 1 more year and be a part of this resurgence of the Chiefs. And obviously when Mahomes is healthy and ready to go again.
JJ, before we go, I know you do a lot of public speaking. For those who may not be familiar with some of the stuff you do off the field with motivational speaking, as a keynote speaker. And if people want more information, it's jjbirden.com. Birden is spelled BIRDEN.com. Give us a little bit of a backstory. What are the stuff that you do off the field?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no. So once my career ended, I kind of dabbled in a couple of different things, but I always knew I wanted to coach or teach in some capacity. And that's what led me to becoming a professional speaker. And as I learned more about the uniqueness of my NFL career, being a walk-on at Oregon and playing 9 years at 5'10", 157 pounds, I knew I had something unique that I could really teach others, whether it's the business world, uh, family life goals, whatever, just some of the things that help me make it to the highest level and stay at the highest level, and what it's going to take for you to achieve your goals. So I've been able to create this platform that's given me the opportunity. I've done it now about 175 keynotes with different companies throughout the world, but I'm excited about this next phase because I released a new keynote called Beat the Coverage. I have a whole brand new message now that's going to really help me share with everyone, what does it take to beat the covers? That means anything standing between you and your goals and your objectives.
I've been seeing some of your Instagram posts. I know you do a lot of traveling, and the hotels you stay at have a lot of great gyms, at least from what I've seen on your Instagram. And hey, that's motivated me a little bit. I lost 50 pounds last year, not at my goal yet, trying to get there. But I see you doing some exercise motivational videos as well on your IG.
Yeah. And I got to give you a shout out because I've been watching you and great job. I mean, I love seeing people make that transformation because I know it's not easy. And one of my businesses I've been involved in is Isogenics. It's a health and wellness company for about 13 years. But I got involved first for myself. I wanted the nutrition. I wanted to stay healthy. And it's one of the things I use today. But the point is that when I'm traveling, I try to just keep living that healthy lifestyle, not using the fact that I'm traveling as an excuse, so just working out, being active, trying to eat healthy is just one of the ways that I can do that.
Yeah. I've always got the questions like, what advice do you have for me? What's the secret? I'm like, there's not really a secret. For me, honestly, it was laziness and just, listen, I get it. You're busy. I'm busy. We're all busy. You got to put the time and effort for it. That to me is the big one. The other big one is be extremely patient. For anyone that's looking to lose 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, it does require a lot of patience. Everyone wants that instant gratification, and it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, that's life. And that's a great point. I try to tell people have long-term vision with a long-term commitment. It's not a sprint, and it's an endurance race. And like you've just shared, as long as you stay in it, as long as you stay consistent, as long as you stay committed, you'll eventually get the results you want.
If you want more information, jjburden.com. You can also follow him on social media at jjburden. Hey, JJ, it's always great talking to you. I like all the stuff you're putting out there on social media. Appreciate you taking time for us, and hopefully we can do this again down the road.
No, thank you too. I appreciate you having me, and keep up the good work.
I appreciate it. Thank you, JJ. You as well.